Alrighty guys, welcome back. It's your boy EQ, and up next we have why Joey Badass just started more rap beef with Kendrick Lamar. Being the best definitely puts a target on your back, and with what Kendrick was able to pull off this year, it was only a matter of time before someone threw some shots his way. And while most have been avoiding the smoke, whenever they're directly asked about Kendrick, it seems Joey Badass is throwing his hat into the ring. Though I won't say this is a beef, more like a display of rap's competitive spirit. I commend the effort, but if it actually does come to fruition, it would definitely be a one-sided affair. And he didn't specifically call out Kendrick Lamar, but just sort of the entire West Coast. I'm pretty sure Tyler would have something to say about this as well. And although very talented, this is probably the most we've talked about Joey's music in a very long time, even though he has been dropping projects here and there. But enough dilly-dallying, let's jump right into the video. Again, it's entitled Why Joey Badass Just Started More Rap Beef with Kendrick Lamar.
Now, as we just entered a new year, things in hip-hop are already off to a wild start because setting the
I wouldn't say just hip-hop. I feel like the whole world is getting to a very, very wild start.
tone for what's to come as rap enters its next chapter. We have had an MC come out of nowhere and not just call out and challenge the king of hip-hop in Kendrick Lamar, but beyond just a single MC, the entire West Coast as a whole with none other than Joey Badass, and with what Joey has just done. Before Kendrick or any West Coast artist can do anything this year and continue what has been one of the greatest runs we have seen from a region in hip-hop in a very long time.
And it's definitely been spearheaded by Kendrick Lamar and the historical run he had last year and is continuing into this year. But we also got to give some credit to Tyler, the creator, because honestly, he's been doing amazing numbers as well and dropping some really dope music. He just happened to drop it in the year that featured the biggest rap beef ever.
Joey is trying to stomp on things with his new song The Ruler's Back, and is attempting to shift rap spotlight on not just him, but the entire East Coast as a whole. And now before we get into what Joey said to Kendrick on this track and how this moment is only going to make hip-hop even more competitive than ever, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now with this new track from Joey, everything about this song is not just trying to make a grand statement to kick off 2025 in hip-hop, but this record is working as a way for Joey to claim the title as the King of New York and then use this power as the leader of this region to declare that he is going to be coming for the spot that Kendrick and the West Coast have been controlling ever since he won the Drake beef and united his region like we have never seen it. But now before Joey even gets into going at the competition and Kendrick specifically, he makes it very clear on this song that when it comes to New York itself, that he is the king of this city by carrying the mantle that greats have before him.
New York right now is definitely in a slump in regards to rap. Maybe the Knicks having success is enough to get them inspired, but right now there is a huge vacuum when it comes to who is the king of New York rap. Right now, I would honestly say the crown would probably have to go to the queen of rap, Nicki Minaj, because right now she is probably the most successful one rapping out of New York. Her last project did monster numbers. And honestly, since Pop Smoke died, there really hasn't been a New York rapper to pick up that mantle. While we did have some artists get hot for a brief period of time, like an Ice Spice, there was really nothing with longevity.
Which from the title itself, which is paying homage to both Jay-Z and his iconic intro track from The Blueprint, and also before that, Slick Rick, who in his time was considered the king as well. Just by being the next person in line to take this iconic title, Joey is now walking with the moniker that two of the faces of his city in eras past used to hold. And by doing this, he is just trying to raise the stakes to come at Kendrick and the West altogether.
I mean, it all starts with having confidence, right?
And now on the actual song itself, through Joey's opening line, he continues to prove that when it comes to New York MCs, he is still the very best despite him being inactive recently. And after Joey talks about where he has been and claims that
that's honestly testament to the state of New York rap right now. That he can come out of such a long hiatus and claim that title with no pushback from the other rappers that have been doing it.
He is now back for good in hip-hop. He gets ready to at least try and compete with someone who most rappers are just scared of altogether in Kendrick, as he says, "I got murals in my city, F a nomination, just for every time they left me out the conversation." And now with these bars, and remember, Joey isn't like other rappers.
I mean, you kind of take yourself out of the situation when you're not actually rapping and you're focusing on film.
To have backed away from dissing Kendrick with their lines, as he is an elite enough MC where everything coming from his pen that is pointing to something we can all understand is intentionally written that way. This line about having murals in his city is clearly Joey's way of trying to put himself on the same level as Kendrick, as of course this is mirroring Kendrick's GNX intro track Whacked Out Murals. And possibly with Joey talking about his mural in a way that just expresses how much his city loves him, as opposed to Kendrick's track where it's talking about the mixed reception.
I feel like he's suffering from what a lot of rappers suffer when they come out of these long breaks. your name really isn't buzzing right now, so you're gonna have to build up some momentum. And obviously, doing something like this is something that could potentially build up some momentum.
Somebody of his status gets. This also could be seen as a further dig to Kendrick in the West by trying to say that his entire city is behind him and nobody would even think to do
I
what
don't
they
know
did to
about that.
Kendrick's mural. And with Joey saying F a nomination, this seems to be his way of again trying to pull down Kendrick's status by saying that this respect he has from where he is from means more than any big award nominations that Kendrick could ever get. And when it comes to angles that rappers have tried to pick Kendrick apart from, as we have already seen in the past, since this is very tough, this angle of Kendrick winning too many awards seems to be an angle they like to go in, so this would make a lot of sense that
Well, there's a reason for it. The guy really does take great pride in crafting full conceptual albums. But obviously, that's something that's going to do very well when it comes to the Grammy Awards. Most artists today honestly just pick the 12 hottest songs they recorded over the last year and just put that together, but no real thought in regards to the sequencing and the actual theme and mood of the project.
this is about Kendrick. And now from here and painting this bigger picture of where Joey was at when Kendrick and Drake were going back and forth. As Joey talks about
Nowhere
how
to
he
be
was
found.
sitting on vacation, watching everything that was going on from an eagle eye and trying not to react. Knowing where hip hop has been at and how competitive things have been as a
If he would have said something, it probably would have fell on deaf ears at the time.
result of the West win and dominance, and how much the East Coast has been left out of everything because the genre has just been moving past what they have had to offer recently. Again, everything Joey is saying here seems to be very intentional on him.
They've lost their
his way
identity.
of really leading his coast forward and also just proving himself to be a worthy opponent to Kendrick Lamar altogether. Which, before we even go any further into this and really look at the bars that are about to start rap's next great competition, seeing Joey just actually come out and write bars that are clearly alluding to everything Kendrick Lamar did and are actually trying to compete with him whether you believe he can or not. I mean, you gotta give the guy credit for actually wanting to compete and not running away and apologizing
At least
to
he's
Kendrick like
confident.
so many other rappers before him have. And now, speaking of apologizing, on the second verse of this
The thing is, he didn't really say anything disrespectful. Like I said, it's more due to the competitive nature of rap and the fact that, yeah, he's been on hiatus for a very long time and he's trying to get the highest engagement possible.
track, Joey makes it clear that he is serious about taking on Kendrick and everyone else on the West Coast, and that he has never wanted the throne of rap music more, because here, he goes on to call out the entire West Coast by name as he says, "Too much West Coast lickin'," which is also a direct reference to Jay-Z's opening line from his track 22 Twos, which again shows him leaning into the roots of the people who wore the crown of his city before him more and more. And within this section of the track, as Joey uses the phrase throwing rocks when he is talking about how people in the West Coast music isn't sticking, it seems like this bar is doubling down on the fact that this track is calling out Kendrick and the entire coast, as again, Joey isn't just using language here that is synonymous with Kendrick Lamar and the way he is rapped, but he is then utilizing Kendrick's language to call out other West Coast rappers around him who he feels are not actually performing as well as people have been saying they are, which has been a criticism people have had about the West beyond what Kendrick and Tyler have been doing. And as later in this verse, Joey
You also gotta include somebody like a Doja Cat. And while Schoolboy Q didn't do the numbers that would put him in that category, he's dropped some amazing music as well.
also references Ether, which is a nod to not just another King of New York and Nas, but of course also one of the greatest diss tracks of all time. He is starting to tell us exactly the type of energy he is going to be on in 2025. And then as Joey mirrors another Nas bar, which is from after he won his beef with Jay-Z from his Stillmatic track Your Demand, which he also then flips to be about Kendrick as he talks about how Kendrick is too short to box with him. And connecting this even more, right before this line, he says that his raps are making Black Air Force energy come out your speaker,
Kendrick's
which then, if
cover
we
art.
remember, Kendrick dropped a song in 2024 where Black Air Forces were the cover. When you look at all these
The thing is, if you're gonna try to go toe to toe with Kendrick Lamar, you're gonna have to do something a little better than like those super surface level bars. Because at the end of the day, I feel like Kendrick Lamar has probably heard every short joke in the book throughout his life. So if you want to win any type of beef, you're gonna have to try a little harder.
lines, and then also know just how good and, more importantly in this era that we are in, intentional of a writer Joey is. Everything about this song, from the lyrics, the title, to even the video, which from Joey's style to the environment he's in, all represents the East Coast at its pinnacle. all indicates that Joey knew the message he was sending out here, and as he ends this track saying that he's nowhere near done yet, you can see that after this initial challenge to Kendrick and the West Coast, which is telling him that him and the East is coming, he seems to be doubling down on the fact that he is going to be back and he will be trying to prove to us that every word he said is true. And now with this entire performance and track from Joey, I mean, again, no matter how you feel and if you think that he can compete with Kendrick, in an era where everyone from 21 Savage to Big Sean ran away when they were even speculated to be dissing Kendrick.
I wouldn't necessarily say run away, but they definitely did not want any smoke with Kendrick, including Lil Baby, who shared their same views.
This is a bold move, and it is what hip-hop is about at its pinnacle in terms of just being competitive and coming at the people who are at the top of the game. And in terms of this competitive and battle rap aspect, this is all just great for the genre, especially because Joey says in this song that we can run a fair one, which seems to be another direct line to Kendrick, where just like when Kendrick said to Drake on Euphoria that their beef could be friendly, Joey is telling him that he isn't going to be resorting to the petty and pathetic moves that Drake relied on to supplement for his lack of skill in the beef, and instead is just going to be going about this thing MC to MC, which beyond showing Joey respects hip-hop culture at its very core, which we have all known, this also means on his end that he believes in his abilities to go against even the best rapper and the guy who has had the most dominant performance in a beef that we have ever seen without anything that is distracting from the pure art form of the bars.
This is definitely a great case of irrational confidence.
But with all of this said, with Joey doing all of this and setting up this entire moment where he is now going to try and not just challenge the best rapper in the world right now, but also the best region, which also includes other top tier MCs like Tyler the Creator, who himself is running rap more than anyone else besides Kendrick, and then other elite lyricists who all just released great albums like Schoolboy Q, Absol, and many others. Joey is really against a lot, and it's going to take a lot more than this single moment to show that he is truly worthy to even rival some of the other guys on the West Coast not named Kendrick right now. And really with what Joey is saying here, while it's a respectable move to try and bring the East back up this way, especially in this time where everything has been about the West, and in terms of the grand lineage of hip-hop, the East versus West rivalry is something equivalent to the Yankees and Red Sox or the Celtics and Lakers.
Just like these rivalries, they don't really hit the same. Yankees and the Red Sox does not hit the same as it used to, where once upon a time they truly hated each other, to them now being friends and having conversations about vacations together and how's life with the family. And I would probably say the same thing about the East Coast West Coast beef. I really don't think people have felt that way in a very, very long time.
Still, to actually be successful and make this a worthwhile competition, Joey really needs to have a plan and network of other MCs who are going to restore the feeling of New York hip-hop the same way Kendrick did for the West. Because right now with Joey, if you are trying to put the East back on the map in a way where it can compete with the Coast that arguably just released the best 3 albums of 2024 with Kendrick's GNX, Tyler's Chromacopia, and Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips, other guys are going to need to step up.
And Joey also has to worry about somebody like a Vince Staples, who honestly is probably a better matchup given the fact that they're both rappers turned actors turned rappers again.
It up and not just improve, but release their best music ever, because besides Joey, who already is going to have a lot to fulfill and prove now because he just challenged the best rapper out, people like Benny and Conway need to rise up and get their pen working better than they ever have been, or even A$AP Rocky, who just needs to get out there and release his new album after putting it off for so long. Because seriously, besides
Rocky hasn't released a project because nothing he's been putting out really is making any type of impact. It's not like the guy hasn't been releasing songs constantly. Nothing is hitting, and he's suffering the same thing that I said earlier. He took this long hiatus, and you expect to come back to the same fanfare, and that's not really the case. People move on. People gravitate to other artists, and it's going to be really hard to regain a lot of these fans that you lost by being inactive for so long.
The talent who has not just been producing the moments they are supposed to, whether because they have been declining as MCs or because they have not been showing up in the case of someone like A$AP Rocky. Aside from them, New York is left with names like Ice Spice, 5EO Foreign, and Lil Mabu leading the way. And if this is what you have behind you when you are trying to go...
Definitely not the front you have when going to war with somebody. Right now, Ice Spice is trying to reignite her career, which has definitely been flopping as of late. And we can also see that the labels really are starting not to believe in her. And 5EO Foreign just got dropped from his label. So really, that's not the group that's going to win anything right now.
Go against the West Coast right now, then you are not just in trouble, but you are going to get absolutely humiliated. So hopefully with what Joey has just done, This can actually be a control-like moment for the East Coast where the talented MCs realize they need to step it up and start producing their best music and just in general, work to a point where these guys are no longer making the place that created hip-hop seem like a joke on the highest level. And now for Joey, he really better be ready to back these words up because to compete with not just Kendrick but the rest of the West right now, I mean, looking at the output from last year, it is not going to be an easy task. And I'm sure considering how Joey was calling out not just Kendrick but the entire coast here, beyond how Kendrick may respond, we will see a lot of other MCs from all different levels and corners respond to this and just go back and forth with him as they try to prove what region is not just better right now. But now that all of this time has passed, which one is better all time? But now with the East and West Coast back and forth being on the brink of being stronger than it has been in decades, all because of Kendrick Lamar, and how even with rappers like Joey who have been in the shadows, now they are inspired to rap and try to make a run at the throne again, all in all, if this is what rap is going to look like going forward and MCs are actually going to be working for these greater goals and trying to make their music have a more meaningful impact than ever, as this competition is really bigger than just a single MC, all in all, rap is going to be in an even more exciting place than we thought, as we are really going to get even more passionate and inspired performances from the entire genre than we have seen in decades. And so now with all of this said, let me know. What do you think about this new song from Joey, how he is calling out Kendrick and the West Coast, and where do you think the impact...
Yeah, man. While Joey is definitely a good rapper, he's biting off way more than he can chew. Right now, you're going to need more than one guy, first of all, to take on the West Coast. And the fact that you've been inactive for so long, this more so seems as a way of trying to drum up some attention. If you attempt to walk into the battle with Ice Spice, A$AP Rocky, and Fabio Foreign, it's going to be a rough night for y'all. Because the West Coast right now can probably throw their B team and win it. And that's very sad to say, but the legacy New York has with hip-hop. But New York has definitely been in a slump as a whole for honestly a very long time, other than an artist here and there. And while confidence is key, I do not think that's going to play too much in this battle. If Kendrick does decide to respond, which I do not think is going to happen, he has a lot more to deal with right now than having a back and forth with Joey Badass. Kendrick Lamar has the Grammys and the Super Bowl halftime show literally within a month. So all his focus is definitely going to go into that. And honestly, if we do get the album that everyone say is coming, the more conceptual album, the style of album that we usually expect from Kendrick Lamar, then he's going to have a busy month. It's going to leave no time for this half-hearted attempt at trying to bait him into a beef. At least he's smart enough to keep it from being personal. But even with that being the case, I don't really think he has a chance at all, if it ever does happen at all. And I definitely won't call this a beef. This is more along the lines of a display of rap's competitive nature. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Definitely let me know what you guys think about this attempt of trying to bait Kendrick Lamar and the West Coast into some type of battle. Do you guys think that Joey Badass in New York has a chance? And also, do you guys have a lineup of rappers from New York that could potentially take on the feat? I currently don't think so, but I'm definitely interested in seeing if you guys have a lineup. Because even taking Kendrick Lamar out of the lineup for the West Coast, it's still going to be a very rough night. With just Tyler, the Creator, and Schoolboy Q, I think it's honestly game over. Adding Kendrick Lamar, it's a wrap. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does the channel wonders, guys. The channel has been doing amazing. The growth has been exponential, and honestly, it's all thanks to you guys. So I really want to let you guys know how appreciative I am for you guys making this channel a part of your day. And honestly, all the love and support you guys show on a daily is overwhelming. It's honestly the biggest factor in me making these videos. So I'm definitely looking forward to what you guys have to say on this situation. I really don't think there's going to be any type of response, but who knows? Maybe he gets a bar, but I really don't think so. But I hope you guys love this video, and I hope to see you guys soon. So you get an A for effort. Let's just leave it at that, man.